Hello, happy World Mental Health Day. I wanted to do a video about 3 tips that I find really useful and helpful in boosting and increasing my mental health. When I started struggling with mental health issues, something that drove me absolutely nuts was when people told me, happiness is a choice. You're just not choosing happiness. And I was like, yeah, because I have depression and anxiety and PTSD and I can't function and you just don't understand. I didn't like being told that I could choose to do better and feel better because I was trying and it wasn't working. The thing I didn't understand about that is that happiness is a choice. Health is a choice, but it's not a choice that you can make like that. It's not something that changes the second you decide, all right, I'm gonna be happy now and I'm not gonna have this mental health issue that I've been struggling with. Happiness is a choice that you can choose with tiny details in your life, and it might take years. But bit by bit, those details are gonna make a difference. So I'm gonna share 3 of those things that have been really helpful to me and have taken me from, I can't choose happiness, my life is miserable, everything is awful, to the place where I am today, where I feel pretty well adjusted and I have great coping skills when I do have issues, but for the most part, I'm not having major daily mental health issues anymore. Tip number 1, connect with your body. Maybe nobody ever told you, but your brain is a part of your body. Your body is the storage unit for this brain, this incredible machine you have in your head. And if your storage container, if the place where you're keeping it and the thing that's affecting everything else is not in a good space and is not healthy, you're gonna struggle. So my first therapist always told me sleep, diet, and exercise. I would add water into that. He was actually this terrifying guy. I would come to him and say, I'm not doing well. And he'd be like, well, are you sleeping? No. Are you getting enough exercise? No. How's your diet? Not good. Well, that's why you feel terrible. Oh, this is bad. I don't like therapy. Didn't work for me, that tactic. But the message was true. Sleep, diet, exercise. I know when you're struggling with mental health, making good choices on these things is so hard. But can you try to get to bed 5 minutes earlier? Yeah, you can. Can you try just a little bit harder to remind yourself to drink water? Can you make a slightly better choice at lunch? It's just the little things. I know the little things are maybe the hardest part, but you can make tiny efforts. Don't be a victim. Don't say that you can't do anything because your mental health is bad. That's when you start to deteriorate worse. So get in touch with your body. Tip number 2, unplug. I know, you've heard it before, but really, social media particularly, but any screen time is just not good for you. Many common mental health issues are a combination of hormonal imbalances and neurological pathways, essentially habits of your brain that respond in unhealthy, unhelpful ways. To assist with one side of that, the hormone side, you have to understand how your screens are affecting you. We all know blue light affects your sleep hormones and all of that stuff. That's not good. And then as far as social media goes, again, we've all heard that people who design social media apps study gambling and the way we get dopamine hits from notifications and the colors and getting that regular dopamine. All those little tiny hits throughout the day drains us and it exhausts us. Additionally, our brains were formed in such a way that every time we change our attention, saber-tooth tiger. Every single time the focus of our attention changes, we release stress hormones so that we can deal with whatever danger or thing that just popped up. The issue with this is on social media, your attention is changing every single time you see a new post, every scroll. So you're releasing dopamine, but at the same time you're releasing cortisol and stress hormones, and it's just not good for your hormones. So unplug, get off your phone, try not to be on a screen if you can help it. If you can, if you're feeling bad, if you're laying in bed and your phone is next to you, just go put it in the other room. Chances are you'll get bored pretty fast. and maybe you'll like get up out of bed or go for a walk or do something that's more helpful instead of just
going into the void of your phone and sinking deeper and deeper.
So unplug. Tip number 3. What's tip number 3? Connect with human beings. One of the reasons we like social media is because it gives us a pseudo connection. But what we really need is actual human connection. Eye contact is one of the most healing things. When you're feeling really low or confused or triggered or whatever it is, if you can find a loved one, a family member or a friend, or even just a coworker who understands you, somebody who's just gentle with you, if you can find someone to make eye contact with, have a conversation with, someone who you can listen to, and someone who will listen to you, that's one of the most helpful and healing things in the world. I would add that doing something for somebody else when you feel terrible is always helpful. When I started taking big steps to come out of my slump, I realized that one of the best things that I could do that made me feel better was to be there for my friends. I would text every single one of my friends, "Hey, how are you doing? What's going on? Is there anything I can do for you?" And I would just sit there and I would listen to my friends. Phone calls are better than text messages, I would argue, but it worked for me at the time. I would just listen to my friends and I would just be there for people, and it helped develop some friendships that have become some of the most important relationships in my life by just being there and listening to other people. So those are my 3 tips. Connect with your body, disconnect from your phone, and connect with other human beings in meaningful ways, in person, in real life. And those things help me a lot when I'm not feeling well, and give it a shot, and I hope they help you too. Bye.